Hello, how are you? I am so happy to have you in my kitchen today because I'm doing a classic that normally would be definitely out for anyone on a weight loss program. And I mean, it's a great winter dessert. Where are we going? Well, we're delving into book 2 and I'm going to be making for you sticky date pudding. Oh my gosh, are you excited? Because I know I am. It is such a gorgeous dessert, guilt-free because it only has 3.4 grams of fat per serve. Now there is a change in this recipe. I know that even if you've got the latest book 2, the updated, I have recently made a change to this recipe because I found the evaporated milk that's out now is a little bit runnier and I found the sauce was quite thin. So what I've done is I've added some corn flour. So if you've got this book or your old one, doesn't matter, write in there now with the sauce here, a tablespoon of corn flour. Write it in and it works a treat. Now good news is that it's also in the cooking for 1 or 2. So you can make 10, which is a lot, but you know, it freezes really well. But if you want to make just 2, then just go into this book. 10 or 2, up to you. All right, so let's look at this recipe. It is such a fantastic, easy, well, it's kind of like a muffin in a way, because I like that individual serve thing. That way you're in control of it. Now we're going to use some Floralite margarine. So I'm going to get that in now. And you want either 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of Floralite. Now we're going to melt that in the microwave because I might as well have that happening while I'm chatting. I'm going to put my micro thing on lower because I don't want it to be too hot. And then what we have is 2 egg whites, and you'll often see this is kind of a little bit how I make a muffin and just little different changes along the way. I've preheated my oven to 180 degrees fan force. I've got my muffin tin at the ready and we just need to start cooking. So it's 2 egg whites, the margarine, you've got 1/4 cup of brown sugar, you want 1/2 cup of seedless dates, dried dates. You want a little jar of the baby apple. Do they still call it baby apple? I don't think they do. Just Heinz. Well, it's apple. And this is unsweetened. It's fantastic. You want that in the recipe, the whole jar. I'm going to put some bicarb soda in it, some skim milk, and some self-raising flour and cooking spray. So there is your muffin, if you want to call it that, your cake part of the recipe. Then you've got the sticky sauce, and that's over here. So you need 2 tablespoons of Floralite margarine. You want 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 3/4 cup of evaporated light milk, and as I said, we're adding in a tablespoon of corn flour. And now I'm going to make that later once the muffins are cooked. So don't worry about that one for now. It's all about making the muffins. So I'm going to just chop up my dates. You want 1/2 cup. And I just tend to just go along, get a couple and just do slices. And I think that the dates really just are so delicious in this. And if you have never made a sticky date pudding, well, I hope you make this one because it's so much healthier than a traditional one. Make sure that you buy the dried dates. Don't buy the dates that they say are for eating, because I bought them once and they're very soft. And yes, they're nice for eating, but they're too soft for cooking because they tend to break up in the mixing. So you want just the traditional normal dried dates. Let's see how we're going there. A couple more for sure. And this way you can, because I know there it does make 10, you think, well gosh, there's only 4 of us at home, that's a lot. I mean, they really do freeze well, so don't worry about that. And or what you can do is you can make it in the cooking funnel too and just even maybe double the recipe if you want, and that way you'll get 4 serves. All right, so my dates are done. Let's start cooking. I'll just get the margarine out. There we go. It's all ready to go. Now what we do first is we're going to beat the egg whites and the sugar. Now don't forget to have your oven preheated to, as I said, 180 degrees. Now you can buy egg whites, and if you're doing that like in the pack, and because you don't like wasting the yolks, then you work out it's 36 grams per egg white for this. So that'd be 72 grams of the egg white mix. Let me just get that sugar out. All right, so now we're just going to beat this for 1 minute. Combine that together. And this is such a terrific dessert because I find when I have people coming over for a party or dinner, I can make this in the morning, make the sauce, everything, and then all I have to do is heat it up. Just put the muffins in the microwave just so they're warm and just heat up the sauce. Dessert fabulous. All right. Now we do the magic with the apple sauce. Now this idea came about with me when I wrote book 1, and I found that a lot of low-fat baking can be very dry. So what can I moisten it with? And I was just experimenting, and I found the apple sauce really does the job of giving it the moisture. So I put in half a teaspoon of bicarb, and you'll see it froths up. That's perfect. And the apple, I just find the apple is just a terrific inclusion because you don't want a dry, sticky date, that's for sure. Now, I've got to tell you, I remember, let's do a flashback in time. And I wonder if you used to watch me when I was a regular on the cooking show on Channel 9 called Fresh. And it was with Jason. He was a very hottie. He was a gorgeous guy. Really, really sincerely nice guy. And I made this on the show. Here we go. And what was interesting was he had made it a couple of weeks before on the show, and he showed me his recipe. I calculated it out for him, and it worked out that his version was 65 grams of fat per serve. Yeah. I mean, that to me is heart attack on a plate, and definitely not suitable for anyone with diabetes as well. And then I did mine, of course, 3.4 grams of fat. Yeah, you're welcome. That's how you do it. All right, so let's pour the milk into the melted margarine, and we add that to, so this is our wet mix that we're doing. We're just going to beat that up quickly, just combine it. And we're then going to add in our dates, our chopped dates, mix that up. I mean, how easy is this to make? We're now going to sift the flour in. It's 1.5 cups self-raising. I want you to do the whole lot in one go. And this is where you've got to be careful with my low-fat baking, especially with muffins, because they are quite delicate at the best of times. What you do is you just fold it in as if it's like a sponge. We don't beat it. We certainly don't use the electric beater like I have been. That's been put away to the side now. And I'm just folding that in. And once that flour has combined, you stop. Even if it looks a bit sort of rustic looking, like it's not really, really smooth. See how I'm just folding that over? All that, and it's done. Stop. And this way you'll get a really good like a light muffin. If you overbeat it, it will be tough. All right, so now I'm going to go to my sink and I'm going to spray my cooking spray because I don't want it to go all over the kitchen. So you're going to, I just do them all, even though I'm only going to use 10. And now what we've got to do is divide this into 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably miss the end ones. So all right, let's do this. We want 10 muffins. So what I'm going to do, I might just leave that down there. I'm going to start here, just with a heap spoon, because you can easily come back and do more in it. But I just want to make sure, first of all, that I get my 10. So we're doing good here. Oh, it's such a beautiful mix. It is just sort of 9. One more. Let's do it in the middle. Right, now what you do is you go over it all, have a look and see who needs some more. All right, so that one. And the least you move this batter, the better it will be. Oh, yum. I love dates. My granddaughter Sophia loves them fresh. And I hadn't ever heard of fresh dates. I mean, this was something that's only sort of come out in the last few years, hasn't it, the fresh dates? But they are very nice. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so of course I have to scrape out the bowl because I want to get as much of the mix as I can. But as I say, the least this is moved, the better. So looking at this now, let me have a look who needs a bit more love. You do, you do. Oh, you are. We missed you a little bit there. And that one. I think they're looking pretty good. All right. Now, we're going to put these in the oven. It says on the recipe 20 minutes. I've got a fairly quick oven, so I'm actually going to do my timer for 15 because I think it might be, done then. So I would suggest start it at 15 minutes and you can always add. You can't take away. So when we go, as I said, timer, I'm going to do it 15 and I'll come back and check it. Remember the oven's 180 degrees fan forced, and when it's that you must never put baking into a cold oven. You always have to make sure that light's gone out when the temperatures reach the right amount. All right, so I'm going to clean up my mess here. We're going to come back, and when the muffins are ready, we're going to make the sauce. Thanks for that. We're back. The oven is beeping, so that means when I checked it just before, it definitely was ready to be pulled out. So there we go. There's our muffins. And you can tell because if they bounce back in the centre, then they're cooked. So let's just leave them there to rest for a few minutes and let's make the sauce. Okay, very easy to make. All you have to do is melt your margarine, and that's 2 tablespoons or 30 grams. And then we want 3/4 of a cup of evaporated light milk. Now remember, I'm adding in now that tablespoon of corn flour, which is not in the recipe. It is in the Cooking for 102. So if you look in the Cooking for 102, you'll see that I have actually added corn flour to that recipe. So it's correct for the Cooking for 102 where you make just 2 of them. And I find that's great because with just me and Bill, I don't really want 10. Although they freeze really well, I'm happy to have them in the freezer. And I actually like them just as a date muffin. All right, so we're going to put the brown sugar in, which was 1/2 cup. And once that's melted, I'm going to add in the evaporated milk. Let's mix in the corn flour into the evaporated milk. All that out. There we go. Yeah. And then all we have to do is whisk this together and it goes in the pan. So you can see this is a really good toffee sauce if ever you want to just make some up. Be nice with ice cream. And then just mix it together. I found that with the evaporated milk, it's a little bit runnier, and so if ever you're making it and you feel it's a bit, it needs a bit more thickening, then don't hesitate to add that little bit more of the corn flour in. It won't affect the recipe at all. I mean, there's no fat in corn flour, it's fine. And I do recommend you buy a good quality corn flour. I find that the home brands are not that great. You tend to have to use more of it, which then defeats the purpose of saving money. So I want to keep mixing this. I don't want to take my eyes off it. And then what I'm going to do is get the muffins out of the tin. There we go. Turn it off. Let's move this over. I mean, how easy was that? And now let's see the muffins. 10 cute little fabulous date muffins. 10 of them, or you can just make the 2. There we go. All right, so let's serve up. So there we go, there's our beautiful sticky date. Now this is enough sauce here for the 10. So I'm just going to pour it over now. Look at that. See, it's holding a little bit better than it was prior to that. So I do think that the evaporated milk is just a little bit different these days. So there is my guilt-free sticky day pudding at only 3.4 grams of fat. Nothing like what Jason cooked at 65 grams of fat, I can tell you. Okay, so now if you want to win the books, we've got 2 to choose from this week. You can choose between book 2, which has the 10 in that I've made today, or you can have the Cooking for Under 2 that does 2. You can choose. All you have to do is like, share, and then in the comments, oh look, I've got toffee all over it, hashtag simply too good. So it's with the Y, the number 2. Write that into the comments below, and I will pick 3 people, and I will notify you in the feed next Thursday of who the 3 lucky winners are, and I will personally sign the book for you. But remember, you can choose which one you want. Now, next week's show is going to be great. It's a recipe I've never done on the show before, and it is fantastic. It's Hawaiian chicken. It's got chicken, it's got bacon, it's got pineapple. It's fabulous. So be here next week. It's out of book 3, and I'm going to make it for you so you can see how easy it is. Now, if you want any more tips or recipes, you go to simplytoogood.com.au. And hello, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Just don't forget to put in that tablespoon of corn flour in the sauce. Anyway, thanks for joining me for another fabulous Thursday, and I'll see you next week.